Hello, everyone. Welcome to the open theater session today. My name is Heeyul Kim, and I'm a senior UX designer at VR part of Samsung Electronics.
I'm Rosas. I'm Director of Art and Design for Disney.
My name is Johannes. Tacskovics. I am a Senior Manager of Mobile Products, also at Disney.
So this session is about Disney and the creation of AR Emoji, which brings Disney characters to life. So as a UX designer, it was such an exciting and interesting project to collaborate with Disney. So we'd like to share the experience and the workflow that we went through during this session. So you will come to know how Disney articulated all the 3D graphic things in order to put them into the device and make them alive. So I'm so glad and happy to share all the process of development of character AR emoji with Disney today, so that you can join and put your characters later on into the platform in the future as well. So this is the overview of the session. Number one is about the product overview, which is about the product itself. And the second one is about the character AR emoji pipeline. This is about the workflow and the pipeline itself, about the platform. And number three is about the collaboration with Disney, which is about the character design and development process and unique challenges as well. So Will and Johannes will address this part for you. Let me tell you about the product overview. So emojis are becoming more and more significant for millennial conversations. So 6 billion emojis are being sent today. So 91% of women are saying that they're using emojis every day compared to 75% of men. So yeah, I think most of my female coworkers or friends, they love emojis. So sometimes they seem like they're competing who's using cooler or coolest emojis like that. I mean, in Korea. So is it similar here? Is it the same? Not? No? Yeah, I have no idea about San Francisco. So from this standpoint, we are focusing on this kind of users, which is majority. So which means more like emotional way of communication. Obviously, Disney as a strong storytelling company and the appealing characters that they have seem ideal for AR emoji as well.
Well, to Heeyul's point, emoji are tremendously popular, and it was a fantastic journey to partner with Samsung. This is Disney AR Emoji. It's the next generation of visual messaging, and it's all about adding a lot of fun and excitement to your video messages using your favorite Disney and Pixar characters, and they're all activated by your facial expressions and voice. It's Mickey's 90th birthday this year, and so the very first Disney AR emoji was Mickey Mouse. Since
Wow.
then, yeah.
Wow, he doesn't look like 90.
Yeah, he looks
At
great,
all.
doesn't he? And so since then, we've launched Mickey and Friends franchise, The Incredibles, Frozone, and Zootopia. And you can see some of the key characters here.
I see, nice. So let's check out the promotion movie clip on YouTube for Disney AR Emoji.
Disney AR emoji? What's that? I'll try Minnie. Okay, now what? Hey girls. Yo ladies! Oh. Nom 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 nom. Sorry. My ex's holiday photos?
So as you've seen it, you can play with Mickey, Minnie, or Mr. Incredible, Elsa, Anna, and Judy too. So they mirror your actions and simulate your facial expressions as well. Are there anyone who tried Disney AR Emoji here? Would you please raise your hand? Not that many yet. So if you are interested, you can try out. There's a booth like Camera Zone in there near the session room. So you can try our AR Emoji as well. Yeah, so let me tell you about the character AR Emoji pipeline. So this is how it works. So the device tracks user's face, which is about facial expressions, and the mapper maps the blend shapes, which is like predefined facial expressions. Then the mapper controls the combination of the blend shapes. Then it maps, it controls the combination of the blend shapes of the characters. So it mirrors your facial expressions. And this is the whole data flow and file formats, which is about the pipeline of the platform itself. So there's a planning phase and asset making where 3D works, and file conversion and validation as well. So at the planning phase, we discussed which franchise we are going to pick for Disney AR Emoji, and we discussed about the optimization in terms of appropriate fidelity of the assets, something like that. Then they worked on the 3D jobs with DCC tools such as Maya and Substance Painters with like modeling, rigging, and animation, and texturing as well. And they provided all the FBX, which is mesh file, and texture, and blend shape, and animation, and lighting as well. And then we converted them into GLTF file, which is mesh, and bean file for animation, and lighting set, and background with PNG image. Then we put these assets into into the device in order to test, and we went through the validation process, and we packed all those into one APK package, and we released it on the Galaxy Apps Store. So this is the whole pipeline of the character AR Emoji. So let me tell you in detail with each process. So basically, you have to have your own base model, plus you have to have 75 blend shapes. These blend shapes are composed with 43 basic blend shapes, plus 32 creative ones. These are corresponding to FACS, which is facial action coding system, in order to describe human facial expressions. Then you have to prepare your texture for the model, which is following the PBR or PBS standard, which is physically based rendering or shading. So base color, which is albedo, and metal roughness, and ambient occlusion. These textures are supposed to be merged into one, which is AO and metal roughness. These are supposed to be assigned for each RGB channels as well. Then you have to have set your own lighting with JSON file. So you can set the position and direction and intensity as well. And you can control IBL2, which is image-based lighting. So with all these assets, you can put these all into the device through USB connection. Before that, you can try that on the GLTF viewer as well. So far, it was about the whole pipeline of the platform itself. So now Will and Johannes will tell you about the collaboration itself.
Cool. Thank you, Heeyul. That was a great overview of the pipeline. So Will and I are going to walk you through the creative development process right now. And it all starts with our characters. And so Will is going to kick us off.
Yeah. So thanks, Johannes and Heeyul. So here we have our colorful and charismatic set of Disney Pixar characters. They're all super iconic, and they really resonate with our audience across the globe. And they each all have their own sort of unique traits and personalities, right? So our artists and our animators really spend a lot of time to bring these characters to life and make them really sort of resonate with our audiences. But you know, what makes these characters so appealing? Well, there's a lot that sort of goes into that, as many of you already know. You have to understand the characters' motivations and their sort of backstory, and then there's the whole visual design process around their shape language and their proportions and how they're, are they human or not? But one of the key things that really appeals most is the performance of the character, the expressions of the character, right? So, when you look at Mickey and you break down all the parts of his face, it's all those pieces sort of working together that really make the character come to life and have that magical sort of quality, right? So, whether Mickey's sort of determined and his brow furrows, or he's sort of whistling and his lips sort of pucker, or even when he's got that amazing smile of his, right, and his cheeks really rise up, these are all iconic traits of Mickey and the bits of detail that really make him special.
So our animators and artists are usually the ones that are defining what our characters are doing in our films, in our shows, in our games. What makes the AR emoji technology so terrific is that it's the audience that is driving the performance. In some ways, they becoming the animator, that's really exciting to us. So how do we make this happen?
So, the first step is really sort of identifying who the character is, right? So here we have Violet from The Incredibles. And then, we need to sort of build her mesh. And we've got about 15,000 triangles that we can work with. We try to sort of distribute that all across the body, but a large bulk of that geometry is in the head and in the face. So when you look here, it's not just about the sheer number of vertices there, but it's about the positioning and where we want those edges and those vertices to appear, right? So we need them around her mouth, around her nose, and around her eyes, so that we can get the most sort of movement, the most emotion from that character.
So think to when you're having a conversation with a friend, you're focusing a lot on their eyes and their mouth. There's a lot of movement there, a lot of personality is defined. When you're making these characters, you want to make sure that those features are at their highest fidelity. And that's really important to capture.
So after we've modeled the character, we need to look at the platform and see what are the expressions that the platform needs, and then match those emotions to the expressions of the character, right? And here we're sort of studying Violet, we're understanding the subtlety in her expression, we're looking at all the sort of nuances. And this process is incredibly important because there needs to be a sort of believability in the experience, right? So when you're connecting with this character, it needs to feel like the character. It's incredibly important to us.
Yeah, and so portraying those details, that's really where the element of delight comes in. When fans see those details, they use AR to drive Violet's expressions and then see her mirror their own.
So then the next process is building out the blend shapes, right? And as many of you may or may not know, blend shapes are mesh deformers, right? And we use them to build a lot of sort of micro expressions, right? So think small little expressions on the human face, right? So right eye blink, left eye blink, left cheek smirk, so on and so forth, right? And it's a combination of all of these micro expressions together in real time that sort of showcase her performance. The key here is, as Heeyul mentioned, there's 75 blend shapes. About half of them are basic, excuse me. The other half, we call them sort of flexible blend shapes, where we can sort of target specific areas to make sure that we're getting the expression just right. And obviously, this is the most time-consuming aspect of the project. Sorry. So once we've generated the blend shapes, we go and we take that and we sort of convert it into a sequential video. And at this point, we are really sort of understanding how the blend shapes transition from one to another. Now, the character feels very robotic here, but all of this information is really helpful. We're looking at transitions. We're looking at sort of the foundation for her movement, and sort of seeing what works and what doesn't. You know, throughout this whole sort of process, you know, we're working with Pixar. They've got an amazingly talented group of animators, and you know, we're partnering with them. We're taking their feedback, and they're giving us some notes here because we want the character to be as authentic as possible.
Yeah. So as an example of that feedback, if you can see on the left-hand side, right-hand side, there's these purple line drawovers. And so just the way that the mask sits on Violet's face, that is very, very unique and specific and detailed, as well as when she's blinking her eyes, the way the mask folds and creases. There's just a lot of very specific detail there that we want to capture when we're developing these AR emoji, and this process helps us do that.
So once we have all of this data, we've got the animations and the blend shapes in the right place, we've reviewed them, now we put them into the device, right? And at this point, what we're really looking at is how is that mapping to what the viewer is doing, right? What the user is doing. Is it matching their expressions?
So we spent on this part really a considerable amount of time with Samsung, really tuning the blend shapes and the technology to get the characters right. What you're seeing on the left, that's real-time data of all the blend shapes as they're being activated. The white text that's highlighting when somebody's making an expression, all those blend shapes are being activated. And so we use this data to isolate problematic blend shapes and improve the experience overall. There's another really important part to testing and optimization. So the characters, they all look the same, but everybody's face is different, and how they make expressions are different, and their expectations of what those expressions look like are also different. And the point is, you really need to test with as many people as you can and bring that feedback all into your product for a great one.
And so here's a short clip of the final sort of result. We've got the lighting in there. We're using the PBS shaders and textures. We've added background, and we're really happy with the results that we've gotten.
Yeah, Violet looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, awesome.
So we talked a little bit about the sort of range of characters that we have, and some of them present some unique challenges, right? So here we've got Frozone, and you know, Frozone has this visor which is super iconic, right? But it's also fairly rigid, and so we have to match the authenticity of the character with the platform itself and what the audience expects, right? So we found a really sort of nice compromise where the visor adjusts just a little bit, right? I mean, you know, Frozone has eyes and he's got eyebrows and all that stuff is sort of working, but it moves just enough to give the illusion that there is activity happening there. But the interesting part here is that a lot of Frozone's personality is really in his smile, right? He's got like the best smile, doesn't he?
Definitely.
And so, you know, we're sort of delivering against that sort of promise.
So just like Frozone, many characters have their own unique characteristics. Mickey is the true original. It's a very iconic smile, the appearance of his eyes. Spend a lot of time optimizing and perfecting those details. The bigger point is that the platform gives you a lot of flexibility. You just need to make sure that you use that flexibility while always being true to your characters. So, since Mickey, we've partnered to launch a collection of very unique and beloved characters, all with their own personalities and expressions. We're really excited at these possibilities and are looking forward to when we can share more of what's next. I'm going to hand it over to Heeyul.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Johannes, and thank you very much, Will. So as we've gone through, this is how we worked on Disney AR Emoji. So still, except all this story, there were some challenges that we had to do. So our engineers are developing another tool called AR Emoji Studio, so which is about the file conversion into GIF smoother, and you can put the textures inside, and even you can control the weight value of blend shapes as well, and you can control the lightings too. So with this tool, it's going to be very useful. So which means you can join, as I mentioned at the beginning, you can join and you can put your own character to our Galaxy platform later on. So our coworker from Ukraine, Sergey over there, and my coworker beside that, Tongho Ku, these guys are working on the AR Emoji Studio. So Sergey will have another session at 2:30 p.m. in session room 2010. So if you're interested, you can join and figure out what's going on in detail there. Thank you very much. Thank you.